team It's Not a Tumor, and we're presenting our robust patient portal. This is the final presentation. We divided the project into a design, development, test phase. Design was a team effort, everyone going through and come up with feature ideas. We discussed with our advisor, Mike Romano, settled on some features, and then moved into development. Development was everyone took a feature, worked on it, and then integrated back into the final project. Testing was performed by all players. We all presented at different stages, and you can see the assigned presenters next to deliverables.
Here is a high-level overview of our current project status. I will go into detail of each section in subsequent slides. Our core feature set is complete. This includes implementing user registration and user login, as well as creating a patient resource via FHIR and persisting the user in our local database. Additionally, the risk assessment and symptoms page. Next, we spent some time reviewing user interface improvements. In this section, I will go into detail about the different designs we explored and our thought process behind each one. Afterwards, we have future features that are planned, which enhance the overall experience of the site and make it more accessible to other family members. And lastly, I'll review the deployment guide we have in place for the robust patient portal. Here are screenshots of the risk assessment portion of the project on the left and the symptoms page on the right. For risk assessment, we gathered the initial required information and integrated with FHIR to fetch patient information. We calculated the associated risks behind the scenes and rendered the graph output with HighCharts. These bar charts are interactive, and mousing over each one presents detailed risk factors. For the symptoms page on the right, we compiled a comprehensive list of common symptoms, explored different responses to return based on the experienced symptom. These responses range from suggestions to visit the nearest pharmacy or consult a physician. A deeper analysis of the inner workings of these pages will be presented in the demo section. Next, we also spent some time rethinking our original design. Here is how our original designs for the robust patient portal appeared. It featured quick access to the core pages in a simple layout. While functional, it lacked a sense of refinement and polish that consumer-facing products reflect. We then proceeded to explore three popular medical and health-related themes. Here are the ones we explored. The first one was inviting, but featured a large landing page image that took away from the focus of our portal. The next one was simpler, but came off as more of a corporate sales site than a portal. The last one struck the best balance of displaying information about the site, yet also being very accessible with respect to functionality. Here's how the theme looks like when we applied it to our patient portal. You can see from the screenshot, we highlight the core features such as HL7 FHIR integration and the symptom and risk assessment pages. Future features that were out of scope for this project include a shot record page, active and past prescription, health record information, upcoming events and appointments, and lastly family-related pages, which also show similar risks functionality. These features were all originally considered, but later shelved since they were outside our core functionality of risks and symptom assessment. However, given more time, we would likely implement such functionality as we believe this will make the portal more accessible to other family members and give users a greater sense of ownership of their personal health records. Our deployment guide is mostly standard for this project. A GitHub webhook is in place to trigger the Jenkins build process. The Jenkins file creates two stages, a deploy stage for building the Docker image, and a notify rancher stage for pulling and running the Docker image. The Docker file manages both Laravel and PHP dependencies, as well as installing database dependencies. We will now transition to demonstrate the robust patient portal. This is the home page of the robust patient portal. The home page is designed to simulate a consumer-facing product. The layout is as follows. At the top, we have contact information and quick access to create an appointment for users who wish to jump right in. Below that, we have three main links: home, register, and login. Lastly, the main content of the page features an overview of the core features. This includes HL7 FHIR integration, risk assessment, and lastly, symptom assessment. To begin, we will register a user. The user registration process involves the name, email address, and password confirmation. I already have a user, so I'll log in with that. Upon logging in, you'll be taken to the risk assessment page, which we'll talk about in a minute. Behind the scenes, we create a new user entry in our database, but also create a new patient resource on the FHIR server. Please note the URL. Let's take a look at the symptoms page. The symptoms page allows users to identify the symptoms they are experiencing. Based on the user's input, we provide the best suggestion on how to proceed. On the left, we will compile a list of symptoms that are very comprehensive. Upon checking each symptom, additional follow-up questions appear on the right. For example, for backache, the user is asked about the intensity of the backache and the number of days the pain was experienced. For low-risk symptoms, we suggest to visit the nearest pharmacy. Let's try this again with some high-risk symptoms, like heartburn and chest pain. Since this is a higher risk symptom, we suggest the patient to go to the emergency room. Lastly, for symptoms that possess medium risk, for example, constant abdominal pain, visiting the primary care physician is the recommended course of action. Next, we'll talk about the risk assessment.
Hello, my name is Derek Hong. I'm going to present the risk assessment part of All Patient Portal. Here you can see this is my risk chart. Before I go in any further to demo this my risk chart, I want to briefly mention all research background about how we come to this result of my risk chart. We want to let the patient have a better understanding of their risk for some disease, and we want to have the most efficient way to protect the patient. So with this goal in mind, we do some researches, and here we reach this by disease. This disease accounts for 61.5% of the total deaths in 2016 in the United States, according to the CDC's 2017 report. And then we have done some more research about how we can protect the patient from this disease. And we found out that the risk factors of each disease, as you can see here. We give each of the risk factors some score, and if the risk factor is the major one, we will give it even more score. We use the FHIR API to find out the risk factor that the patient has. I will use this patient ID as example. So from this response, we learn the patient's age. And from this response, we learn the patient's conditions. For example, smoking. And from this response, we learn the family history of the patient. So here we come to all results for this my risk chart of the patient. My risk chart is very intuitive to use. The patient can quickly learn his or her risk for this disease and how to decrease his or her risk. For example, if the patient sees this chart and finds out he or she has a high risk score for the stroke, the patient can move the cursor to the disease and find out what risk factors that contribute to this risk score, and the patient can then decide to change his or her lifestyle, like quit smoking, get some weight loss, so hence decrease his or her risk scores for stroke from 60 to 40. So we can see that my risk chart is very intuitive to use and also useful for the patient to potentially prevent this disease.